Welcome, folks. Welcome, gamers of all stripes. If you are a past, current, or perhaps future customer of Carolina Game Tables, tonight is a stream for you. We have with us the founders of Carolina Game Tables, Jody and Clint Black. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us with this, Chris, because, we are kind of useless on figuring out how to Twitch, but we know that you Twitch. So thank you for twitching.
Sure, but you make amazing tables, so it's a good trade-off. and these are amazing tables. So I'm a big dude, and I have sat on one of these tables and did not break it for like hours at a time. And when we were at a convention, I think it was last Gen Con, we were putting in the big hours, and they are sturdily constructed, well-made tables. And I don't think I even left an indentation on the lovely felt. So velveteen. So guys, right. Yeah, it's been a crazy last year. I mean, the last time we saw you was over a year ago in person, and we're going to remedy that soon, next month. Yay. But tell us, one of our first questions for you guys is, what have you been doing over the last year? And so what's been going on?
Oh, gosh. I mean, like for everybody, right? It's been just it's been a really interesting year. And I want to say interesting because, there's been a lot of challenges, but there's been a lot of blessings that have come out of it too. So when we're talking about our challenges in here, we're doing that in the interest of transparency because we want people to know everything that's been going on, and people are curious and they've been asking us questions. We've had emails from customers going, well, what is going on? And so we were like, why don't we just tell everybody what's going on instead of one email at a time or trying to formulate it as like a news post or something. And also, a lot of people just don't have any clue how things work in the manufacturing world, especially in furniture manufacturing. And if you know of us, then probably also know that we are with Pinnacle Entertainment Group. So there's some crossover between furniture manufacturing and publishing. There are still factories involved. There's still shipping involved, so some of this stuff crosses over into that. So we're happy to take some of those questions too. But, I won't answer all of those because we're trying to focus on Carolina Game Tables here. I'll let you know if I'm not going to answer that question, but you can ask them. But that's, what have we done for the last year? Well, we've stayed home. We have stayed home. And for people who go to like 10 conventions a year, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, give us a flavor of like what you guys did like in 2019 before the pandemic hit. Like what your kind of schedule was to just let people know how on the road you guys really are.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember.
2019 was 2019 was a great year for us. First off, it was our best year, we had obviously, but we were at a convention a month, sometimes two in the same month. I think we saw you in 2019 at both Gen Con and Dragon Con. Yeah. August, September, right there, back to back.
Well, and you rolled out some good stuff for Carolina Game Tables in 2019, right? Like the Express program was a new thing you guys did. What was the Express program?
Well, the Express program we started to plan in 2019, actually before 2020 hit. So it was already in the works. We rolled it out in 2020, but that was great though that we already had that set up and in the works. But we had already planned that and gotten it started in 2019. I mean, we had a lot of plans in the works before 2020 hit, and fortunately, some of those plans, like Jody said, we were blessed and fortunate in some ways because the Express program was just, exactly what we needed in 2020 in so many ways. I mean, for, so many people being able to order a table and it could ship in 2 weeks instead of 4 to 6 months, which is, where we ended, 2020 at, and sometimes I'd say it, if you were fortunate, but the Express program, those were shipping in 2 weeks, and it really was great because there were a whole lot of people that were in desperate need of entertainment at home, and they, they're ready for a game table, and having one ship in 2 weeks, and I can't say how long it took to get there, but that made a huge difference in getting it in and being able to play games around the table with their families and whomever else they were trapped with.
Well, so for those of us who don't have tables yet, Jody, why don't you tell us about the tables? Like, where are they constructed? What are the materials? What kind of what varieties do you have for the tables?
Right. So we have 7 designs for the tables. They're as small as a coffee table, which is about 4 feet by 2.5 feet. It's still a pretty good sized coffee table, and that's just like a one-piece top that you can take off, and it's great for hiding like remote controls inside. If you have like a video gamer in the house, yeah, there you go, showing off our slick new website too. So this just launched today. I love it when a plan comes together. I can never really predict that, but yeah. So the coffee game table is, it's a great little table, and it's fun for kids. They can have their own little game table, and it's good for puzzles and living rooms. We have some people who have ordered a Tablezilla for the actual game room, a dining table for the kitchen, because they have games going in multiple places. And they're like, we're going to order a coffee table next, because they got to have one for the living room too, or just for the kids' room or that kind of thing. So we've got the dining table continues to be one of our best sellers. That's the design that we launched with our Kickstarter back in 2015. So if you can't, I cannot believe our good luck, but we've been in business now for 6 years, and we have actually sold thousands of tables at this point. Sold, delivered them. There are happy families using them. It's a really good feeling, actually, because sometimes we'll have people come up to us and they're like, "Oh, hey, it's Clinton Jody Black," and I'm like, "Do you know me from Pinnacle or from Carolina Game Tables?" Because they're sometimes it's both, which is great, and I'm fine for either one. And then sometimes it's just, "I was in your kindergarten." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay," So.
I don't think I've had that one.
Yeah, I know. Well, they wouldn't call me Jody Black then, but anyways.
No.
But yeah,
so your tables are built. They're built bespoke for people, right? So like there's not a warehouse of thousands of tables sitting around waiting to go out. People get to pick the finish, the fabric, the height, if they want cup holders. So why don't you tell us about some of those options that people can do to customize their tables?
So I was going to say, if you want to go to like Tablezilla, because that's our biggest one, and that has all the options, so that people can take a look at them. So that's our biggest table. It's 8 feet long and almost 5 feet wide. It's 4 feet 10 inches wide. That is the statement game table. Trust me, that is the monster that you've got a real game table, a real gaming family there. Space we put 8 cup holders in it, but you can easily fit 12 to 18 people, depending on how skinny your gamers are. And there's a picture of somebody doing white glove delivery. So, that's a table you really want white glove delivery for. Yeah. But yeah, we actually sell those at bar height. And I can't even imagine, like, if even sitting at a bar height table, Zilla, with a bar height, seating arrangement, I'm still like, that's a really big table.
Yeah. So we offer 3 options on height for most of the tables. Some of them actually have 4 options that we can do: standard dining height, counter height, or bar height. Like Jody said, we've done the biggest, tallest table ever. We've done bar height Tablezillas for folks. And you can choose all of that. You can choose what fabric color you want on the inside. We've got 4 different finish colors to choose from really dark Sagamore Hill to a cherry to elm, if you were like a light finish. The 7 different colors of fabrics, you've got them pulled up there to choose from. And whether some of the tables don't have a wide enough lip or player area to handle cup holders, but the ones that do, we offer cup holders on. You can get those if you want to add those on. But the other thing we do have is you can, pick and choose those things. But like we talked about earlier, we do have we have had the Express program, which has been just dining and banquet tables that you could still choose the fabric color you wanted, but we had limited finishes. I think it was just Cherry and Sagamore Hill, and we don't have all of them in the same finish anymore that we had stocked, ready to go. But basically, they could put a fabric on the inset area, have it ready to go, and shipped out. And those were all preset. Those were the ones, basically our most popular versions of those tables. Cup holders are already included. You choose the fabric color, and those are ready to go. But the other option is, like you said, you choose table height. The other ones we have is we actually do our coffee table at dining height. So you can have a small apartment size game table. And I will add, Jody mentioned a lot of the uses for it, but I designed the interior width of that coffee table. It's exactly 24 inches, so that a Savage Worlds flip mat will fit inside of it perfectly. It will
also
slide down.
Also, flip mats fit in there too, but yeah,
same size. So yeah. But yes, it just slides right down in. So you can do a little RPG on there. You might not be able to put all your character sheets on it, but you could fit your minis and your map in there and have it set up.
So speaking of perfect fit, I see there's a tabletop on these. Do all your tables come with tabletops?
They do.
Yes.
Every single one.
And it's included in the price?
Yep. And that was the whole premise of Game Tables for Real Life is, my feeling was most folks don't have a dedicated game room. They don't have the opportunity for that, or just for a dedicated game table. So it had to be functional. I mean, game night, for some of us, who knows when it's going to be, but, once a week you might have game night, but 7 days a week, it needed to be a functional table for normal uses. And you could also leave your game set up, put the top on it, and, come when you came back to it, use it again.
And then you guys have one really special table that's very unique. It's called the Streamer game table. So tell us about what is the Streamer, who could take advantage of that kind of table. What is the Streamer table?
So I will say I was inspired by, I think it was at our very first convention we ever did with Carolina Game Tables, to start working on the design for the Streamer. And I was fortunate enough that we're friends. Actually, that's a good clue right there. It was at PAX South, where the Penny Arcade guys do their live shows. And we got to be, we just lucked out to get to be friends with some of the folks that run the show then. And like I said, we've been very fortunate.
We are. We just keep having good things happen to us. That's all it is. And so it occurred to me that this had potential. I mean, if you're going to think about it, 6 years ago, Critical Role was just, a glint in Geek and Sundry's eye, really. This was, but we also had friends who were in the industry who have done this. Ivan Van Norman, specifically, who worked with them, is also with Hunter Entertainment that made Outbreak Undead. And they use the same fulfillment company we do for Pinnacle. So at Gen Con, we were neighbors and had gotten to know each other. Well, Ivan, yep, you see right there, he knows live streaming like no one else I know, really. There's a few other people I know. There's a lot of people I know who know it pretty well, actually. But he helped me out on some of the design elements, the angles on it. The table itself is actually angled and designed for a 3-camera system.
It's trapezoid shaped like that so that you can see all the players from a front camera shot. You're not seeing some of them from the side. I put a lot of design elements into it. It has a deep lip around the edges. You can see there, the holes at the corner are actually designed for pole mounts. So you can put microphones, cameras, lights. The 2-inch deep lip lets you run wiring underneath the edge. The tops are actually beveled back in front of those holes so that you can take the tops off and put them back on again without having to reset anything you've set up in that. And it's been popular. I mean,
it's fantastic.
Yeah,
we picked up one here locally to stream some stuff on. So now that we're all vaccinated and getting back to playing live, you're going to see one that hopefully the Rocky Mountain Savages and Dustin and I and the crew will all be playing with, because that one's got a really, really, really great finish on it. And we got it all set up, and then we had COVID, so we'll be excited to get back on that. But we actually have a really good question in chat. The John Doom. Now that we're looking at the chairs, you guys also have chairs for these as well, and he asks, how comfy are the chairs? So tell us about the chairs.
So if you see that, brown chair that's there, that was actually the first chair that we did kind of like as a, so like we got one chair and one stool made as a sample for us based on our designs. And you can see there's kind of like, okay, there's a butt mold. That's just what I'm going to call it. That's not the technical term for it, but I'm going to call it a butt mold. And the back is just a little bit concave. It's a little bit curved. So that's the chair that I still use for gaming 6 years later, and it still looks fantastic. It's gotten a few scratches and stuff, and we have taken it to almost every single convention and stood on top of it to raise banners and tie things to like the pipe and drape, like up over your head and stuff. Mm-hmm. And sometimes both Clint and I will be standing on the chair at the same time. And we are not light people. So, I mean, these are very sturdy chairs. They're very, very comfortable. And at first it was like, well, we don't want to put upholstery on the chairs because the factory that we're using is not set up for that. We can talk more about that later, but also you can just get a cushion and kind of tie it at the corners. Like you can get cushions at Walmart or any kind of fabric store, make them to match your curtains or something like that. So we got like a little cushion to try it out. I don't like the cushion. I like it better without the cushion. And I'm not just saying that because I have some padding of my own, because I do like cushioned chairs. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, they are so comfortable. They really are. Clint designs everything.
Not kidding. She is not kidding. I bought her that cushion thinking it would be more, and she tossed it off that chair, and still we would game for hours. She sits in that chair, no problem.
8 hours. 10 hours, no problem.
Yeah, super comfy, like office chair that's supposed to be for long-term use. She's in that for like an hour and her hips ache, and her leg is hurt and everything. But this one is that. And one of the things about that you can't see in that chair, but you can see a little bit, is I did want it to be something that was going to stand up to gamer use too. Just like the tables are. They're designed to be, to be used for gaming. And when we're talking about the strength, I tell people all the time, I think armchairs are the devil's work for tables like this, because they take up room side to side and then they don't want to fit underneath it. But the tricky part with an armless chair like that is when you're sliding back and forth like you often do when you're playing a game, the backs can get loose. So when we did those chairs, we've got cross braces between the front and back legs, and then a cross brace between those legs. And though you can't see it there, I flip it over and show folks at conventions. There is there are corner braces screwed in where all of those legs are attached to underneath it. So it is triply set up to be able to end up. And as Jody also mentioned, when we go to cons, we actually stop taking a step ladder because I feel safer and more comfortable and more stable on the chair, stepping up on the chair. So one of the questions that got asked, and I saw on the last page, because this might be new information,
I'm the spoiler king if you don't know. But the someone did ask in one of our questions on the pre-show that let me go find it. I'll put it up on the screen. The any plans to expand the seating? Maybe it says on the website right now there aren't bar counter or higher seatings, but any plans maybe in the future to do bar height seating?
Yes.
This is why he's the spoiler king.
Right.
That's
That's right.
leading
That's why
question. Yes.
So yeah, it would basically be this same design because we've had so much good feedback on this design. It's great. So just the legs will be a little bit longer for counter height and for bar height to accommodate that seating. I don't think that we'll bother doing that for the stool. We'll just do it for the chair. And then we also have a storage bench, which has been very popular, but we won't do that one at higher seating either because I just don't know, but like that's going to take a whole lot of extra work. So, but doesn't that look nice? We knew when we were setting up like the tables that since these are tables going into your dining room, that a lot of people want to have the whole package. They want it to all look the same and be finished the same time, made out of the exact same wood. It's a cohesive look together. So that's why we do that is we offer the tables and chairs all at the same time, same wood, same finishing process. It will all match. So, and if you order your table 1 year and then wait another year to get all of the chairs, you can do that. There might be some slight variation in the finish that you get, but it will be very close.
Well, and you guys are, I mean, as game designers, you're very inclusive to have everybody want to play at your table, play the game that you design. The tables have, I mean, super options for how large the table is, how high it is. So there's a lot of options for people to be able, all people of all kind of stripes to be able to want to afford it, but two, just, tables that match your lifestyle. But there's a really cool new feature I want to point out before we get too much further on your website because it's brand new. But if you come to the website, there's a little blue guy in the bottom left. And if you guys click on that guy, he's the ADA accessory guy. So if you seizure prone on the website, you can turn on the seizure to kind of like lower the colors and make sure the animations are a little slower. The really cool one for ADHD, if you turn on the ADHD friendly profile, it'll actually give you a focus bar. So as you're reading the website, you can keep your focus on a certain part of the page. And that's really fantastic. I'm pretty sure that's there for Clint, right? Clint, focus. Clint.
I feel called out personally. I do.
If you've got a reader, a screen reader, there's an option to turn those features on and off on the website as well. So let's see what we can turn off ADHD. And there's so for blind users, it'll prompt you guys to use your screen reader. It'll give you a little bling in your headphones to know that the screen reader is working. And so yes, you guys, I mean, this is just, I just wanted to point this out in case you guys didn't know that these guys have really upped their website game. So now it's fully ADA compliant, and that is fantastic. So you can adjust all that stuff. So good job for you guys. I think that's a kudos for you for getting that on your gorgeous website. So check out the website if you notice at the bottom of the pages. There's if you haven't quite gotten a table yet, or you want to be in the loop on future updates, do sign up for the email list. Just put in your email right there and hit sign up now, and you guys can get inboxes. Like, so if we ever do one of these again, you'll get an inbox letting folks know that we're on here. But
that's right. And we aren't spammy. We send out news updates about once a month, sometimes every other week. So we're not sending out stuff too very often. And we'll let you know if there's a sale going on or a special promotion going on. So you'll know about those. And I have to go back to the whole point of this, like discussing things from 2020 and how they've affected us to this day. The blessings of 2019, that was our best year ever. And it kind of gave us the capital so that we could invest in the new website and making it ADA accessible. And then also being able to set up that express program so that when it went live in 2020, that was a boon for a lot of people.
So yeah, and that's a really good segue into, because one of the other questions that we've gotten, that's kind of a big question, so a lot to it. But tell us what challenges have y'all faced this last year as a business, and what can we how's it been? What have you had to do as a business, and what's been going on this last year?
there have been a few challenges. That is true. Yeah. Uh, the first one off the bat, and the one that really is like a domino in that it affects so many other things, was a trucker shortage that had happened. Um, and that wasn't purely because of COVID. They actually changed some of the licensing requirements to be a trucker. I'm not sure of exactly what it is. I think we shared a link to someone who talked about it at one point in time on our Facebook or website in the discussion. But I know it meant that some folks who, and I don't think it was anything that was necessarily bad. I think it was a case of, you have so many DUIs, or DWIs, maybe you shouldn't be on the road, but it meant there was suddenly a need for truckers, and that really does cascade, because in manufacturing, shipping is your suppliers getting shipped their raw materials that get shipped to you, that then, it's not just us shipping to the customer that affects. It's every step along the way. I mean, it hits every single thing. It really does. And that was definitely one of the first challenges we saw, because like I said, it kind of hit before COVID. I think that went into effect in January 2020 or at the beginning of the year.
January 2020.
Like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So it hit before that. And then 3 months later, we're looking at COVID hitting on top of that, and as you can imagine, for truckers themselves, you're talking about people that their job was to travel around the country, basically. And, that put those guys at a higher risk, obviously. So, there was a lot of challenges to that. That was kind of the first thing that started out, and that was not expected. We then also, got immediately into having to deal with COVID illnesses, and you can't get away from that. We, again, were very fortunate. No one in our family ended up getting it. And now we're all fully vaccinated.
Nobody in our household, I should say.
No one in our household. That's true.
Yeah.
No one in our household got it. I will say, we're not going to speak to the personal lives of anyone that works for us or anyone that works at the factory or anything along that. That's not our place to do. My father, on the other hand, is my father, and I could say he got it. He doesn't live with me, but, that was a concern. He came out, okay out of it, but that's, because even at his age, he is strong in his ox. We actually just saw him for the 4th of July, and he talked about going to his doctor with some problems that he had. And the doctor saying he had people that were 20 years younger than him that were in worse shape than he was,
Your doctor told him, shut up.
Shut up. You can't complain. You've got so many things going for you. But it did, it did affect things. It did affect some of those things. And if it's not just the illness itself, but how it impacts other people, because even people who didn't get it might have had to take care of family members, or might fill in for those family members and what they had to do. I mean, I know, again, talking from personal experience, I, would do go shopping for my father while he was ill, and, kind of fill in for those things that he couldn't travel. And it affected more than us, and it affected others much worse than us. And it had an impact.
Yeah. So, I want to maybe take a minute here to explain, because I was raised outside of the manufacturing industry. My family was electricians and that kind of thing. So, and teachers. So it's kind of like an eye opener to me when I started getting to know some of the people at Clint's dad's factory and seeing just what a tight knit community it is. It's usually multiple generations that live very close together, like if not on the same street or across the street from one another, they're at least in the same town or at least in the same county. Whereas my family is, like my grandparents lived in Florida, we lived in North Carolina, my cousins lived in Texas, and the rest of our family was in Wisconsin. So it's like, no, there's nobody nearby. But instead, the manufacturing industry tends to create those family bonds that are just very close together. So when you have somebody getting sick, and they might have relied on grandma to keep their kids instead of paying for a preschool or something. Well, grandma can't keep your kids, so now you've got to stay out of work, or maybe you're staying out of work one day and your husband's staying out of work the next day, or so it's like it cascaded, and if somebody got sick, it was everybody pulled together. And then unfortunately too, because you're spending time with them, you're getting sick yourself. So,
or if not sick, you're just quarantined.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, had to wait through that time to be sure that you weren't going to show, anything, even if, you could be super careful, but you were exposed when they had it. So it definitely.
I don't know if you guys mentioned, like you brought up Clint's dad, but this is a family business. It's a multi-generation furniture business, right? And you guys are in kind of the furniture capital of the world too, right? Hickory. Yeah. So that's there's legacy there. So having old man Black, get COVID. It's tough. It's like he's part of that multi-generation kind of furniture building legacy you guys bring to this, and that's really special. I mean, you don't find that a lot anymore, right? I mean, there's only so many. If you don't keep it in the family, and a lot of those businesses don't last. But what business wise over the last year, what kind of challenges have you faced? On the production end, on getting materials in, shipping timelines, we want to talk a little bit about just as Carolina Game Tables. What does the last year look like for you guys, and then how does that change your plans moving forward?
Well, I mean, everybody took COVID precautions, right? So we were already doing the our showroom was only available by appointment because we don't have to be here unless you're going to come see us. So we already had that, and it was easy for us to transition to a work from home arrangement. But that's just the office staff. You can't do that for the factory workers. And then they had to increase their workstations, space between them. They had to find Lysol and toilet paper, order masks, do the temperature checks, all of the things that everybody thought was keeping them safe. There was just changing information every day. Increasing the distances also meant that you could only have fewer staff there at a time. So we knew as soon as they did that it was going to increase our timeline. So we immediately put out the word then that instead of a 4-month production, we were looking at a 6-month production, and we don't see any changes there. It's a 6-month average is what we're saying, because sometimes it does come in a little under that. Sometimes it comes in over that. And unfortunately for a few people, I'll be honest, it's gone a lot farther than that. And there's not anything that we can really do about that. And we're incredibly sorry. It's like nobody wants to push it farther. Trust me.
We've had a couple of people that have hit the perfect storm of their table running along a timeline where the person needing to do one step is the one when it gets to that point in production, because it's got to go through certain steps. I mean, like you said, I'm 3rd generation furniture. So for me, I know when you're doing finishing, it's a multi-step process that you go through, you finish, you sand, you refinish, you sand, you go through it again. And you have to go through full drying times on each one. You can't just start the next step until that finish is fully dried. It just doesn't work that way. And when you get down to, we're down to the last part of it and we're ready to go, and all we have to do is is put the lacquer on, and we've got a couple of layers of that, and the lacquer person is out. And then okay, finally we get that going, we get that done, or the inspection person goes out. The worst option, you're at inspection, you're at the end of the process, it's going to get to inspection person is out. I can't do that. And then great, we've got it inspected, now let's get it into shipping. And we talked about shipping a little bit, but it does affect our customer. The white glove delivery we had,
oh my gosh,
oh man, because it's in home, there were things of it changed so quickly of they couldn't deliver in home. They couldn't cross state lines at one point.
I mean, if you can imagine,
for a period of time. There was a period of time where they just said they had the stuff, and when they were okay and the government said they could deliver them, they'd start going back into deliveries, but they were just had all this stuff in a warehouse ready to go and couldn't do anything. And then ultimately, I think it got to the point of they were able to ship to these states, but they had to use local delivery because when it got there, it has to sit for a certain amount of time to be sure that it's not carrying anything, and then it could be delivered to the home. Well, they can't just stay there and wait 3 or 4 days, so they started using local delivery people. These people have never worked with a game table before. We've worked with our normal delivery people for years. I mean,
we're already a niche industry.
Right. So it's like, wait, what do you mean that this table has a cover? Or
why would a table have a top that comes off? Yeah.
Why would you have 3 bolts for each leg? I mean, 2 bolts is a good dining table. Why would you have 3 bolts? Because it has to stand up to a guy my size leaning on it going, nope, you can't do that. Chris and I across from each other on a table, we could break a normal table in one session, I think. And it's like, the hardware is in with the legs to do that. Oh, you mean the box we threw away?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
The cup holders are always in a very light box because it's just the aluminum cans, basically. So it's so much lighter compared to solid mahogany legs, So you're like, oh, okay, this is nothing. This is a filler box. Throw it away. Yeah. And then we're like, you throw away the cup holders? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, clearly that 2-inch by 12-inch label that said cup holders and on white and big black labels, I know that wasn't obvious. I mean, we could have put them on all 6 sides of that box or whatever instead of just the 2 big ones. Sure. But I mean, the thing is, and then something sits in a warehouse. Every hour something is in a warehouse is a chance something can happen to it.
Well, let me preface that. So first of all, when our white glove delivery service, which I want to stress is not our company, that is a third-party company that we have worked with for a very long time. They are top of the line, the best in the business. They're the ones that deliver the really, really, really expensive stuff. Okay. So even though our tables aren't usually in that kind of realm of really, really expensive stuff, we're using them because they're the best at what they do. They first said, okay, we will warehouse it. And we knew that sitting in their warehouse, it was going to be fine. But if it had to get shipped across a state line and then sit in somebody else's warehouse, well, this is maybe somebody's local delivery. Maybe this is like a little garage business they started up. They bought a box truck and they're making deliveries. They might actually be literally storing this table in a garage. Who knows? So there's if they rolled the table over, like they take the box and they flip it over and roll it several times, there's a chance that even though we've got it covered in styrofoam and more hard cardboard covers and that kind of thing, you might crush a corner slightly or something like that. And then the delivery service is on the hook for that. They do fix anything that happens to it while it's in their care. So Yeah,
Yeah.
we had extra issues that happened with the table deliveries, which meant increased staff time for us because even though it's not our company, it's not our rodeo when they send that off to be delivered by somebody else, but you're still our customer and we want you to have a good experience. And we also know the ropes a lot better than you do. So we want to work with you as you go through the experience and make sure that you're getting the best deal that you can,
Yeah. I will say, Jody brings up a point as far as trying to handle customer service and do anything and some of the issues that have come up. Even during these times, the way things were, we wanted to make sure that we could take care of the customers best we had. So we have brought on new staff for customer service specifically because we wanted to try to handle this as, as best we can when we started to see.
Yeah, I'll say hi to Sam in the chat. He's one of our new customer service agents. We just hired him on. And Lexi was also hired on this past year. So, so yeah, we've added on 2 new people, which is big for, used to be just Clint and I. And then we added Sarah. And now we have.
Yeah. And so the daughters, because it is a family business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is white glove delivery available now? Is it back to being available for new orders?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. And, and I will say most of our deliveries went fine. It's just the ones that did have issues were compounded by all this, because it's like normally if there was an issue with the table, if it's our delivery people, they're right there. They see it. They can pack it back up. They take it back. I've told people this before. They have a furniture restoration site. They're one of the few delivery people that have an on-site furniture restoration site at their North Carolina hub because they do so much furniture. And they've got people from the industry that work there. So they can really... I have been amazed by the stuff they have done. Where I thought, and they've done this before, they have bought new tables because something has happened, that they just felt couldn't be fixed. It's been rare. Like Jody says, we've done thousands of tables over the years, and we're talking a handful of cases here.
Yeah, to be clear, I mean, usually most deliveries happen without any problem.
Right. Most of these things are no problem whatsoever. It's just the case of when you add in, now there's another step of, it got delivered by this one company. They showed up. There was an issue. They weren't the same people. So they decide to leave it there till they find out what the resolution is. But now somebody's got to go back and get it, but it can't be our company because they can't do a pickup either. So we've got to get that other company to do like I said, it added so many steps when there was something to deal with. And, but again, like we did our best. Like I said, Jody said, we brought in Lexi, and now we've got Sam, and we're hoping to see a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train coming at us.
Yeah. And Jody mentioned this before, but we did have one question I think is good to answer from the pre-stream questions. Someone who's already ordered a table and it's already been processed and it was originally scheduled for October, November. Are they still on time for that, or how do they get an updated kind of window, or what kind of information can you give to that customer?
So the best answer is email us at info@carolinagametable.com for an update on your order. So, everybody's order is unique, and the factory will usually schedule, how the orders are being run through the factory. Because remember, they don't just build for us; they're also building for other companies too. We are working together to help fill up their labor force, and they manage the labor and when they run the orders. But it's wonderful for us actually as business owners, because then we don't have to handle that kind of labor. But we do understand, that they have issues with labor shortages and that kind of thing. But so it might be that you might have ordered a little bit later, but then your table got in on a group of Tablezillas and they're pushing through all of the Tablezillas together. Or maybe your Tablezilla was ordered a little bit earlier and they're holding it until they can run a bunch of Tablezillas together. So it depends. So the best answer there is just email us for an update. And I think that some people, would prefer that we would be more proactive in reaching out. And I can understand that. But we try to be hands off because we found out pretty early on that if we came to a customer and we said, okay, your table's going to be ready in 4 months, your table's going to be ready in 3 months, your table's going to be ready in 2 months, we got flagged as spam. And then we're trying to send them an email and it has some really important information in it, like you need to pay for shipping or else your table's not going to leave the warehouse. They're not getting the emails because we got marked as spam. So we only contact you when you've placed your order. We give you, the details of how this is going to work. And then you contact us. And that lets your email basically know that we're a safe sender. And then also, you can do that as many times as you want. You can email us any week if you want. And we will get back to you, I promise. So that's the best answer for that. And I hope it's on time.
Yeah. The other thing I would mention about that specific case that was asked is I would look at the, bless you.
Thank you.
I would look at the text of what they got because it was mentioned in the question that they're supposed to be receiving it October, November, and usually we give a time when we expect to ship it, not when we expect to receive it because we don't know what shipping times are going to be like. It's even a little iffy when we get closer to it. But when we're talking at the beginning of production, we're not sure. So, and that makes a little bit more sense given our kind of baseline of about 6 months. If we said April, that's ending production around October, into November. So I think that might be another thing is do double check that. Don't look at that date and go, that's my expected date. Look at it and let's see if it says expected to ship, not receipt. Because we usually try to figure that closer, again, that's like Jody said, you can email info at and check into that, but it's usually something we want to see when we're a couple of weeks out from shipping. What things are looking at that time, because if your table ends up needing to ship, and I will tell you this from all my years experience in furniture and my dad's years and my grandfather's, if your table needs to ship in basically starting about the second week of November, leading into Thanksgiving and then into Christmas, everything gets backed up shipping furniture in those times. It's just the way things.
That's just the shipping industry overall. I mean, it's just like trying to get your Christmas present delivered the week of Christmas, right? It's the same thing for furniture. It's just that it takes that much longer to get everything done. So it always backs up at Christmas, and it's always a little bit crazier that time of year on top of all of the madness that we were talking about from last year still being in effect today. So, email info@carolinagametables.com if you have any questions about your order. That's if you have an order placed. Also, if you have a question about a table or delivery, or you want to get a quote for your delivery before you even place an order, you can email that. That goes to everybody in the office except for Clint, because he does not deal well with a whole bunch of emails. Don't worry. If you want him to see the email, just let us know at info@ and we'll get it to him. But otherwise, it comes to myself and Sarah and Lexi and Sam. And that way, there's 4 people who read that email, and the first one to see it gets back to you. Okay? Yeah. So
continuing on that theme, what issues industry wide and for your company are still in place going forward, like maybe for the next year, so people can just have reasonable expectations on that, on order timelines and what other things, because like you guys are amazing. You hired people during a pandemic when a lot of people were doing the exact opposite. But you can't control, like you said, the shipping is out of your hands. The international, the logo for this stream has got the evergreen stuck in the Suez Canal, and is my table stuck in the Suez? So what do you think those issues still are?
Which was probably the funniest question we got all year, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, no.
Yeah, that does lead into, like you said, one of the issues that we've hit and kind of cascaded out of everything, and it has just grown, which is supply shortages. Between what we talked about at the beginning, for those who weren't here, about the the trucker shortage, labor shortage, then restrictions on shipping, and then it just becoming, so much harder. And then that affected everyone. So, I would tell someone, your table might not be stuck in the Suez Canal, but your cup holders might. I don't even want to bring up cup holders because it's traumatic for Jody. 6 months it took us to reorder cup holders. Thankfully, we had enough in stock and we were just looking a little bit ahead. It took 6 months to get a restock on cup holders. And we're now looking at, because of labor shortages, wood is harder to come by. Fabrics, basically every aspect of making our tables.
Basically, any manufacturing, I think you're going to see prices increase because they can't. Yeah. It's more expensive to get the people there to make them in the first place. And then, like, speaking about the wood prices, I've talked about this on Facebook before, but this is where we get to talk about these things. We use Indonesian mahogany, so it's farm sourced and sustainable. It's got a nice even grain. It's very durable, and it's popular in the case goods industry, which is what these tables are, and like china cabinets, end tables, that kind of thing is case goods. So we're not the only ones who are building with it. It's pretty much everybody, and it's just it's the best wood to use for what we're trying to do, because we can stain it the different colors and that kind of thing. So that wood does come from Indonesia, and we do have to get it shipped here. And but I can talk about the wood a little bit more, because my family has several hundred acres in North Carolina, and we have a pulpwood tree farm. And we've actually sold, I think it's like 25 acres. We sold 25 acres back in December. We sold the rights to the trees on that property, and basically in the forestry management stuff, you sell the rights to the trees to the lumber company, and then they come in and they cut down the trees, and they've already paid us for the trees. They cannot hire skilled labor at a cheap enough rate to be able to afford to come in and cut down the trees. So this is, the last month that they have to cut down those trees that they put this investment in. I feel so bad for them because, we got our money. My family, my parents are using that as part of their retirement. They got their money, but we might still be left with trees at the end of it instead of them getting their trees. And that's why you're seeing such high prices in the lumber yard. If you go to any kind of home construction, home improvement type place, the lumber prices are just through the roof. And it's not just the labor that's the issue. You also still have to have that wood, kiln dried, and you have to have it processed at the mill. You have to do, it's all these different steps that happen to the wood. You can't just go out into the forest and fell a tree. There's, stuff that happens along the way. And I wish that I could use our trees for our tables, but they're pulpwood trees. They're not good for building hardwood tables. So nope, sorry, but I can talk about the farm source sustainability. When we do cut down trees, we immediately plant new trees. We build that into our budget, because otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot. That's not how you keep your farm going. And the families in Indonesia that rely on the money for for these tables that are built from these woods, it's the same thing. This wood actually reaches maturity at about age 20, 25. After that, you can still let it grow, but it's not going to add any more biomass to the tree. So it's not really worth it. So you're better off cutting it down, planting a sapling, and then cutting it down again in another 20, 25 years. And so they have family plots there, a lot like what we have here. So yeah, I mean, it's like keep families fed, and Indonesia is hit with just so much more. I just really feel for them. I mean, I
saw John Doom's comment about
what?
I had to buy a 2x4. Fortunately, Lowe's offers a second mortgage financing. Yeah. You're not wrong. And that is that actually Jody could talk lumber for a while. That is the thing. But I will say that has come into something else. We have already seen these price increases. They have continued along. We've already seen them. But I will say Jody and I made the decision to not increase prices for the tables through 2020 and through 2020 because we were seeing so many people that were in need of those things. And we had set up the Express program. So those tables were based off of some of the lumber we already had. That's already in there. Now, those tables that we had built are gone pretty much.
I will say, if you want a cherry dining table, we have got more than 15 of those in stock. All the other tables are really skinny on the stock. You can actually see our stock when you go to the page, select what it is that you're looking for, and it'll tell you if it's on back order or if it's available. And if it's on back order, I don't know when it's going to be back in stock. You can email us and ask us the same question, but we don't know when it'll be back in stock.
Yeah.
It will be sooner than 6 months.
Yeah, but we made that decision for 2020 because it's
People
not
were
a
hurting.
decision. Yeah, but it's not something that we can maintain. So the downside is we are looking at a price increase. It will go into effect on October 1st. So we're not blindsiding people, who might have been thinking about this. We're not 100% sure of what it's going to be, but it will, it will be a price increase that's going to reflect costs that have increased dramatically over
the past year.
18 months, really.
18 months. And they're not coming down. If anything, they're predicted to keep climbing. So there's some things saying that. So we know what we're dealing with. We know where we're going, and it's not a decision we wanted to make, but it's one we have to make for the good of the company. That's how I think it's like it's third generation. I know about furniture, but I also know about business. My dad's company made through multiple recessions and multiple times, and there's choices you have to make and what you have to do when you're going forward, and we're looking at that. But yes, prices are still good through September. We are doing that. We do have the new website already set up, ready to go, so it's much easier to navigate. We're very thrilled to have the ADA accessibility because, like you mentioned, Chris, we want gaming to be open to everyone, and we want the tables to be open to everyone. We want everyone to have that same accessibility to them. One thing we didn't discuss earlier is you were talking about like the various heights we have. All of our tables actually have adjustable glides underneath the legs, so you can level them, but they'll all unscrew at least a half an inch or more if you need a little bit of extra height for someone who needs
taller or just needs more room underneath the table, and you don't need maybe to go all the way up to another 6 inches, but if you need a little bit more, those things are in there because,
Plus, just email us because, like, for example, I have one picture of a TableZilla that I can share you that somebody bought bed risers for their table legs. Now you have to get very specific bed risers because you can't just find these at Walmart. Our table legs are basically 4 inches wide to a side. But you can get bed risers that match almost exactly. And then you can raise it like another inch or two.
I think the bed risers, the Source Jody had options for 1, 2, or 3 inches of height. And because I am a designer geek, our legs are 3 3/4 inches square. So they are just under a 4x4 size. So if you are even a little bit handy, you can basically take a 4x4. If, as John Doom brought out, you're able to afford the second mortgage to get 4x4s, route those out and create lifts as well. Yes, Christian, you can raise your table a little bit if you need a little bit of room. It's on the note there, but.
And that's actually really fantastic. I mean, I know from experience, my dad has transitioned into a wheelchair for a lot of the time now, and that extra inch is the difference between the chair hitting the bottom of the table and the arm of the chair hitting the top. But you get 1 more inch, it's perfect. The bottom goes under the table, the arms go over the table, everything's fantastic. So, I mean, that's again, specifically ADA compliant functionality, being able to just those little bit of adjustments. Plus the fact that you guys do offer your tables in such varied heights, all the way from the low height to the high height. I mean, that's really fantastic. And hey, Jody, if people have a table and they have it at a certain height, can they get replacement legs sold separately? Is that
actually yes? Yeah. So now, if you've ordered a table prior to, I think it was middle of 2018 or something, we did not have a set pattern for the bolts for the legs. So you might have to actually hand do the bolts into the legs, but we can send you the legs themselves, and then a local carpenter can put the bolts in for you. Or if you're handy enough like Clint is, you can put the bolts in yourself. But the newer tables can have replacement legs. We've got replacement tabletops. We've got replacement cup holders, because we've had people drive over cup holders in the driveway. I don't know why you would have your cup holder in the driveway, but they were eating gummy bears and it fell. I don't know. And then, the tabletops get scratched. And this way you don't have to replace your entire table. You're just replacing the piece that gets that damaged, But yeah, we can do replacement legs. We don't have that advertised on our site. Just email us. And then we also, we can do the replacement fabric in the play area. I think in all 6 years, we've had 2 people ask us about that, because that velveteen really, really is stain resistant, rip resistant, fade resistant, so easy to clean. Yeah. It's miracle stuff. It really
But
is.
if you do, you just need to pop out the bottom, right? There's one piece. There's 6 or 7 bolts or 8 bolts that just.
More than
There's
more
a
than 6 or
few more
7.
bolts than that.
Oh,
I have
okay.
removed one of our inset areas. I also will tell the story on myself that I was actually underneath the TableZilla unbolting that when I realized we use about 3/4 inch piece of wood that we've got that around. And as it started to sag down, I thought, that's a heavy piece of wood that I am just laying underneath right now. I mean,
at Gen Con, Christine was there, and she was very exuberant, showing off how stain resistant it was, and the coffee cup, a little bit of coffee splashed on the table, and I mean, seriously, with just one little piece of paper towel, it all came out. You couldn't even tell. I mean, it was like
blot.
It was done, right?
Blot. Yeah.
How was it?
Don't never wipe, never rub into fabric. Always blot. And I mean, we've seen. It scares me to death, but I tell people, oh, that's great to know, Christian. I mean, we had that happen at a show one time where a woman was looking in and she actually knocked her latte into a table, and we did not have any paper towels local, so we had to send somebody which, as I tell people, was like a mini quest at that convention, just to try to get to the bathroom and get some paper towels and get back, and
It was
blotted it
very
up,
tight.
and the fabric was not even wet underneath after blotting it up. And I know the manufacturer. This goes back to the thing. This is somebody my father's company has worked with as well. This is one of the reasons I use them. And this is what they call commercial grade velveteen. It's designed for hotel bar upholstery, things like that, to stand up to those kind of things. And I know what they say it can do, because this is a proprietary stain resistance. It's not just Scotchgard. It's the company that makes it. And I know what they say it can do. I never wanted to test it. Never.
Yeah. Like
You know?
I tell people, like, sometimes I'm like, this is meant to be thrown up on. It's okay. You know, like,
Okay, it's not meant to be thrown up on. It's not. That's not
meant
the
to
point of it.
survive the,
Yeah, it
like,
should
anyways.
survive it. No,
it's meant to survive gamers. Let's just put it.
Well,
that is
and
true.
from a gamer perspective, one thing that, I mean, maybe not designed, but is a really neat. The cards on top of the table are actually very easy to pick up. You really don't have to like damage your cards when you deal normal sized playing cards down, because it's almost like there's this like air cushion that the velveteen. You know, you
That
your
is
little
one of the
finger.
things I love about the velveteen is it is enough give to make picking up cards easy if you've got a game that uses them, but it's not so much bounce like a thicker neoprene, or if there was padding underneath it, where you can't get a good solid die roll on it too.
Yeah, and
So
the
it'll
minis
do
stay
both.
flat too, even if you don't have a map. Like minis, you know, they're not tilted. So yeah, it's a really good game, and there is a satisfying sound with rolling dice on it too. So
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
Uh,
I mean, so we wanted to come in here and we wanted to say, you know, like some of the stuff that we kind of went through on the manufacturing side, and, you know, just spill the beans on a few things like the shipping problems. You know, everybody's kind of hurt. Like they roll their eyes at shipping because they're like, oh, I can't get my Amazon in 5 days. And we're dealing with maybe something a little bit else. But, you know, it's like, I think it boggles people's minds when I say that there are actually bidding wars for shipping containers now. Like, you cannot get the shipping containers back to the East, you know, to China, to Indonesia, to, you know, to all these places that they're shipping things to America, because all those containers are here in America. And I guess we're just not exporting enough back the other way. So we're kind of having to pay people to take the empty containers back. And then when a container does show up, everybody wants it. So it's like an auction block. And some of the prices that they've had to come to me saying, okay, well, we can get the next thing that you need shipped out, but you're going to pay an extra this much. And I'll be like, okay, let's go for it, you know, or let's wait a week. And I do think that that's going to calm down. I think it will even out eventually, because we just had so much backlog in our ports here in America. But yeah, I mean, who knew that we were going to get to that point? And it's not just the Suez Canal. That's the one that got the most attention. But a lot of things cross the Pacific and they come into LA. And then they go by truck across country. Well, now we've already talked about the trucking shortage too. So, hey, it's a good time if you ever wanted a career as a trucker, by the way. Yeah, look into that. I put the link in the chat. You might have to scroll back a bit to get to it. But that was it was another furniture manufacturing agency that put together that video talking about the regulations that the truckers were having to face. So, but anyway, so we had the bad news of we are raising prices, and we struggled with that. Clint and I prayed on it for a long time. Like we said, we did not raise the prices in 2020 because everybody was hurting, and we just didn't want to hurt people anymore. We wanted to continue people having, you know, the joy of being able to get their family together or get their friends together, for those who are living in bubbles, you know, and be able to enjoy time around the tables. Because one of the blessings, let's face it, of this past year is we've all learned that we don't have to go out as often as we used to. And it's okay if we cook, and it's okay if we spend time playing games with each other. And you know what? I really do love my family. and I have not even thought once about killing them. Really, and not once. Our kids
I brought
came
you
home
into
from
this world.
college.
I can take you out. Was not.
That's
spoken
right.
In the Black household. That's good. Jody's too
Our
nice.
daughters came home from college in March of last year, and we just moved one of our daughters back onto campus. And it's been hard, y'all. I mean, with her freshman year, I was like, go, fine, leave, you're done, you move on. You know, we were just so thrilled for her to get started. And then the second daughter went off to college too. She moved on campus, even though her campus is literally 5 minutes away from the office where I'm sitting right now. So we were still like, nope, even though you're so close to home, live on campus, get used to that lifestyle, you know, break away. And then now we've had them home for more than a year. And it's kind of like, do you have to go? Really? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. And I know they're not watching because they're gaming with their friends.
So, John Doom had a comment in there. We've talked about the interior dimensions. He talked about what table would handle Twilight Imperium. I believe we had a customer who played Twilight Imperium that maybe we have a photograph. I don't know if we've gotten it up on the new website yet, or if Jody has access to it, but
I think I can put it up on the website. Or actually, go to let's see. Did I put it on that Cherry Finishes table?
And Rigger Raven, you are right. It is good to know that Jody did not consider killing me over this past year.
I can't.
I've got public confirmation of that.
Yeah, I would not. I could not.
Yeah.
No.
I think I might have seen it on the Facebook too. I'll look on the Facebook.
It's on. I mean, we've used it a lot, but I will. I'm going to edit our Express
while she's looking
and put a picture there because we've got lots of pictures of Twilight Imperium actually. So
while she's looking, I will go ahead and say that we've talked about we're going to have a price increase that will come in October 1st. We also have something else that's going to go through October 1st, basically, that we're excited about. This is something that we wanted to do before, and we discussed this as well. 2020 was definitely not the year to do this, but we have decided now. So I'm gonna go ahead and be the spoiler king for this. I suppose letting Chris do it. We are going to have a contest for someone to win a free streamer game table. We would like a group or organization that we're really looking for somebody that has done a lot to promote tabletop gaming. And we would like to see basically up through October 1st, if they send in, we want about a 2-minute video. Just send us a link to it. The info at Carolina Game Tables website is going up right now. And then you can 2-minute on the video, but if you have extra you want to write and send in text on it, then you can go ahead and do that. And in addition to let us know, what you want to do. But we're going to October 1st, you send stuff in, then we're going to choose a winner. We will have people in the streaming industry that we're going to look at kind of as a think tank for choosing our winner for this. And that, I will say, is not just a free streamer game table, but it will also be free shipping within the lower 48 states. So it is at no cost to the streamer. And we, again, 2020 certainly wasn't the year when we saw, tabletop game streamers going from being together to having to go to online games and not in person anymore. But we're hoping to see and especially help out these folks who want to get back to gaming in person, because there is so much about that interpersonal dynamic of being in person together. Everyone's sitting at the same table. It's part of what the game our tables are about, is sitting at the table together and playing games, and we really love seeing that. And streamers have done so much to promote our hobby, prove it, that's what we want to do. So
well,
there we go.
And so there's a certain, like, you have the better chance of winning this table if you're a certain kind of group or organization, right? So what are the hopeful winners of this table? What do you envision of those guys? There's some criteria there that you have a better chance of winning. So.
Well, really, the main criteria is that we want them to be a group or organization who has been a positive influence to the tabletop gaming community. So that can be as small as your neighborhood library, or it could be your community center, or a game store or something like that. If they're thinking about getting into streaming and they want to encourage people at their store or their library or whatever to get online and share what they're doing there. Or it could be as broad as, we are a traditional streamer and we've been around for many years. Don't really want to limit it to it. We want it to be open to anybody out there who thinks that they can have. Well, I mean, you have to have the space for the table, okay? So you can't come out there. That is the thing I was
going to say. There is one major criteria to this. And the reason for that 2-minute video is we want that video made in the space that you have for this table, because we want to know that you've got room to that it's going to be someone who can actually use it, and not someone who's, signing up to get it hoping to be able to use it. We want to see this in use. So we don't want to
ship you a table and then be like, we're going to put that in the basement for another couple of years while we think about how we're going to use this. No. We want you to send us the proposal for how you plan to use it. We want to see see that you have the space to use it. See that you're excited about it, because we're excited about doing this. Yes, it's an expense. This is going to be roughly around the retail side of about $5,000. So that's not small change at all. Because I'm having to estimate white glove delivery to like Washington State, or like North Dakota. Oh my God.
so it is, you got to be within the 48, right? You got to be continental United States.
Yeah, does need to be within the lower 48.
So lower 48 states.
You need room for a TableZilla, and they're big. Or the streamer. The streamer's big too, though. It's a big table, so it's not. It might not fit in the small guest bedroom. You might need a little more space for it.
The streamer is almost exactly the length of the TableZilla on its long side. It is just under 8 feet long on the long end.
And you could easily fit 10 people, like 4-2-2-2 or 4-2-2-3. You could.
If you were sitting them all the way around it, the way it's designed with the narrow lip on the long side is to make it easier to get a shot on the interior. It's really set up that it could handle a GM, 4 players comfortably. We've seen people go up to 6. You had a picture up earlier of Ivan. And on the show that Geek and Sundry had, where they played tabletop games, they actually had 2 hosts. It is, wide enough on the narrow end to hold 2 people there, and then players along the sides. And so, you can, and depending again on the size of your players, so to speak, is going to depend on how many you get down each side. But you can fit more definitely if you go all the way around it. But it is designed that long side is designed to make to be set up for a camera angle on the interior to get a shot of the game without there being much in the way. You get a good view of it there showing. The other shorter sides all have a full 11-inch portrait width for the players to have their own space for character sheets for gaming, or books, or whatever they might need to have access to. Those are good friends at Saving Throw showed there, playing their original Deadlands Wildcards. You can also see them right behind me. Hopefully, I'm not sticking a thumb in Dom's eye.
He's got a patch on. He literally has a patch on, so maybe you already.
That was from where I stuck my thumb in his eye at Gen Con.
So yeah, the streamer easily fits 4 players on the small sides. 1 or 2 game masters. Because the game master side is actually very 1 game master with all their books and screen, or you can easily fit 2 chairs. I think one of the previous pictures.
Saving Third Show actually did do that. They had a game they ran with 2 co-GMs once, and both of them back there. Made for a very cool game and a very cool setup to have that kind of dynamic of 2 GMs run for that.
Yeah, so easily 5 or 6 people on screen. If you're not using it actively for streaming, you can fit another 4 or 5 people on that long side. It's a really fantastic long side. This is the table we picked up for the Savages Rocky Mountain Games, who was in chat before, has got it in his studio. There's Ross. Hey, Ross, playing it for the at one of the shows like IDW Games. So yeah, these are very super. What we talked about before, but they're super functional tables. They've got the built-in pockets you can put in microphone or camera stands in the corners. You can even put the lid on and off without those being there. The
2-inch deep lip that you could see in that last picture at AC Inc. C Team, that gives you some room to run wiring underneath it and around if you need to run in some mics or something that way, or get a little extra wiring for lights, whatever. It's the lip itself is 1 inch thick, and like I said, it does go in. So in addition to being able to have the pull mounts, you can actually use clamp mounts at those corners as well, if you want something that you could switch out.
So here you can kind of see this is one maybe a pre-finished model, but you can see the holes that are there waiting for
so if you go back to that one, that was Fantasy Flight Games, got 2 streamer tables actually, and that one they did a custom repaint for their Star Wars games. So
that's what that is. Cool.
So that's why it's got the little pleated skirt on it and everything. And then the other one there, above that one, that's the other table that they wanted to keep nice and pristine as is, so that they could have for regular gaming. But they did a custom job. I mean, they went to the nines on that Star Wars table, and their plan is to just repaint it anytime that they want to do a new theme for other games. So
that's really, and Paizo has one. I remember we were talking with the folks at Paizo. They're like, we bought the table, it's in our room, we're ready to use it. Oh, and then we can't do it, but we're gonna do it now. 2022 is the year. So you guys are gonna see. I mean, Acquisitions Incorporated, the Fantasy Flight guys. I mean, these are the tables that the pros use because they're super functional for that purpose. So again, if you're in the lower 48, if you are a group that services the game community, if you show us the area you're going to put this in, those are kind of the 3 criteria. So a 2-minute video, and just what your plans for the table are. And I mean, that's super generous, you guys. I mean, this is this could make a whole new show or expand kind of the. I mean, we've seen what we've done the last year with streaming, and so being able to get a hold of one of these great tools that you can really play together on it, off camera, but then on camera being so functional. That's really fantastic, you guys.
The thing that I tell a lot of streamers, when we talk about the table, is one of the reasons I made this is because there is so much money that it gets invested into streaming that when it all works right, you never notice it. In the cameras, in the audio, in the software, every step along the way, you can have so much invested, but there wasn't anything to put in front of the camera that matched that same level of commitment that was behind the camera, that everything was working. And I wanted something that was going to look, just as nice, just as professional as everything they're putting in science, because you can have all those things, but people are going to, if people are looking at you streaming on a folding table or a desk, you picked up secondhand or whatever, it doesn't promote the commitment these people do.
If you scroll back up a little bit, Chris, the little bit above there you go.
Here you go. There it is.
Yeah. So that was a crossover game.
That's 10 people and not even on the long side yet.
I know. That was a crossover game for Acquisitions Incorporated and Waffles. That's the note that I have on there. I didn't actually get to watch that game, but you can also see some of their lighting, the baffling sounds that they, backdrops that they've got there, and the camera feed there that showing them zoomed in. So, but man.
Yeah.
It can be pretty generous when it's seating people. There are 4 legs that you might have to do some creative footwork with, but they're also spaced back in from the edge of the table. So you still have that 11-inch wide play area for you to put your character sheet on. So it's not like it's all the way at the corner. So
I've really been thrilled to see some of the creative ways folks have used the table. Geek and Sundry was one of the first ones. They used their table for Celebrity D&D when they would have celebrities in, and instead of putting the GM at the center, which it was Matt Mercer GMing that, he was at the far left, and then they put the celebrity at the center, so they had focus on their guest for that. And as I've said, I'm not bitter at all that I found out after the fact that Vin Diesel had played at my table, not beforehand. But no.
Why did you guys not get photos of that so we could put it on our website?
No, that was.
Not enough time, not enough monkeys.
Right.
Yeah. But still, it was a cool setup of having a different way of setting that out, and also considering that there are a lot of different variations of how to play tabletop games, even role-playing games, to where you don't have to necessarily go GM front and center. You could go, to the far left, far right, and then just run around run the players the other way, depending on how you want it. But it's like I said, and then these guys getting 10 people around the table, that's phenomenal. That is amazing.
Well, and it's really an exciting opportunity, right? I mean, we're seeing now that like all the big dogs in the industry use this table, right? We've shown that, and so someone out there, if you guys have, the will, the pedigree, and that just means like you're doing something for the gaming community. It's not a super high bar, but if you have the space for it, these guys are giving you away a free streamer table. So do send in those 2-minute videos. Info at Carolina Game Tables is where you can send that. Hopefully get all the information into one email. It makes your entry stronger. You don't have to hunt down different information. So get all your information in on one, show us the space, give us the plan on how you're going to utilize this table to improve the gaming industry. Hopefully, opening doors for new gamers. We did have a question in chat though, it was a big question of, does Twilight Imperium fit? And this is a dining room table, and you can see a full game of Twilight Imperium. It not only fits, but it's got borders around it. You got room, and then another one that's on the website. Also
dining.
So dining table does, and the dining is banquet even bigger than the dining table.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So they were decided between dining and banquet. So dining even has enough room for you for that Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
So you don't need to go to the banquet if Twilight Imperium is your largest game. But you can go to that banquet if you want to have more people at your table. But yeah, I mean that's a lot of game on a table.
We kind of prep up the dining table for 6 players. The banquet is actually set up to handle 8 players. If we get cup holders on it, you're getting 8 cup holders as opposed to 6.
And then Tablezilla is even larger than banquet.
Yep, another foot. Yeah.
Wow.
Tablezilla we also set for 8 players for cup holders, just because it's you get just all the room. You could definitely squeeze more people in there, but a little bit of elbow room, a little bit of freedom, a space to have your character sheet, your dip, your chips, be able to grab somebody else's dip if you like theirs better, if you need to, all that. Yeah. The other table I will mention, and one that I always tell people I really, really love, it's the most recent table that we added before 2020 is the 5x5. The 5x5 is essentially almost the same square footage as a dining table if you've got a room that can handle the width on it. but it is a solid 8-person table because you can do 2 on each side. And it actually comes with 2 options for cup holders. You can just get 4, 1 at each corner, or you could get a set of 8, putting them at the middle too. I like it, especially for people, which we know a lot of, who play RPGs, because you can have a GM and 6 players. The GM can have one side to themselves, and everybody is pretty much in the same location in the same space for role playing, with the same access to the middle. It's also designed that everybody gets, like a Tablezilla, the full 11-inch portrait width for their game stuff too, which is just really, really nice.
I mean, not that you need to, but this is the table that both Clint and I were sitting on opposite sides of, but not sitting sitting on this table.
Yeah.
Like that width right there, that width is really. You can put your whole book down there. There's your Savage Worlds Adventure Edition book, and and your game stuff, and that lip is it held my keister on one side and your keister on the other. So, and that's like it's a 5x5 table. It's not even one of the larger tables.
It's very compact, but again, like not everybody's dining room will let you put a 5-foot wide table in it. But if you've got like an open floor plan, then it's a great one. And then everybody can reach like everything in there. Usually it's not a problem. Like if you've got a long rectangular table, just you can ask somebody else to move your piece for you, but this one, like it's especially good for like stacking games. And I just think it looks great. I love that shot there where we've got it set up for dinner. And for our Kickstarter video, we did get a family with some small children that we know to come and play games on the table. And I ran a little demo of Savage Worlds for them. And, and they played some King of Tokyo on it. And they were able to, pass around the dice and have dinner on it and that kind of thing.
And what's the highest level that table will go to?
Bar height.
That'll go to bar height, yeah. The other thing is, like because this is somewhat based off of our kitchen table, we can actually do that at coffee table height for someone who wanted like a large table to sit around. And we do that, which that is the kitchen table there. We do offer the the kitchen table at coffee height. So you could have, if you want the big square, table in the middle of like a sectional or something like that, or a large room that you could transition to a gameplay space.
Yep. And if you've got, the two piece tops, you don't have to have both off to use them. You can just take one piece off and put a puzzle on that one side, or eat dinner on the other side or something like that. So we always recommend 2 people move our tabletops, just because one person might be able to pick it up if they're not terribly heavy. Our heaviest tabletop is about 60 pounds for the Tablezilla. But even when it's not so heavy, it's just awkward because it's big, and you'll drag it over the edge, and then you'll end up kind of rubbing off some of that velveteen that you're seeing here, because there's velveteen on the underside of the tabletop as well. Oh, y'all, we have engineered the tops to be like something pretty special. And we actually have not changed my earbuds keep trying to fall out of my ears. We have engineered those earbuds. We have engineered those tabletops. We've been adjusting our designs over the years, 6 years now. We've been, making these tables. The tables themselves have really not changed, but the tabletops have, just because of things like they changed the formula for MDF, medium density fiberboard, and let's just not talk about that anymore. But we have had these tabletops now in production now for about 2.5 years, and we haven't had any complaints. And I mean, just they're practically perfect. I cannot talk any more about that. That's a one-piece top for the dining table. I don't recommend it. You are a glutton for punishment. Don't do that to yourself. That was fine with our first design when the MDF was stable in a big piece like that, but it's not stable at that size anymore because of the chemical formula. So,
but they do come. So this is the velvet.
I want to say, as the furniture guy, it's fine. It's actually fine. Jody's thing is, that is a 4x6 piece of wood you have to take off the top of that table and move off and find a spot to put it somewhere. And that really is enough of a reason, to have to deal with that.
But this does show that the whole bottom that comes into contact, there's no wood on wood. It's the lids are on. It's scratch. You're not going to scratch it, and there's also the lip too, right? The inner lip,
right?
So the lids, the tabletops are they're not going anywhere. If your kid, kamikazes on top of your table, the top's not coming off with them. They're very stable when they're on there.
Yeah, I specifically went with the design for an interior lip to lock the table in place. So there's nothing outside with the table on. It doesn't have to cap over the top and make it, larger or anything, like that, where it would make that top thicker around the edges. It's all interior. But it still locks it, solid in place. And then for the 2-piece tops, we actually have a full 1-inch overlap where they meet in the middle. So even if you drop some food or something, it's not going to, get down into the interior so much. And again, we talked about it before about that fabric, but if you spill a liquid, there's really nothing you can do to stop a liquid. I mean, there's some things people say about, oh, well, you could put something there to make it waterproof. And it's like, yes, but as soon as you take the top off, it goes in. It's like, so why do something that might, affect the integrity of the wood itself, as opposed to we make a fabric that you just blot up whatever gets on it. And if it's dry food, the magic of a lint roller, it really is. That's all we use at conventions is a lint roller across it.
And you can use a vacuum cleaner, but you want to use the upholstery attachment. You don't want to put that vacuum cleaner on there and just make it suck it up off of the glue and
you
stuff.
don't want to pull the fabric off from where it's glued to the wood. Definitely,
it'll make little bubbles like octopus was there or something. So it's that's
like
not no bueno. Don't worry.
Oh. Okay.
So with that, guys, I mean, so 2 big takeaways are prices are good through September of this year. So if you guys are considering getting a table and are ready to pull the trigger on that, do so before October. Current prices are still good through September.
Or if you've got a table and you want to get chairs or something else with it, already too. Yeah.
Replacement tabletops have to go up too. So if you wanted to get a new shiny tabletop with this new design that has been, like I said, perfect. So like we've had no bowing, no warping, nothing, no complaints with these new tabletops now for years. So if you want to get a new tabletop, check out our construction page for more information about them. But yeah, they're great. This is a good time to do it before those prices increase.
And then the other big announcement is if you want to be one of the cool kids and do a streaming show, and like Ivan or the SWO crew or Saving Throw show behind Clint, you guys are doing a free streamer table giveaway. Remember, you got to do a 2-minute video. You got to show the space you're going to put the table in, describe the use for it, and hopefully the use is for the benefit of the gaming community. And send those to info@carolinagametable.com. And these 2 wonderful people are giving away not only a free table, but free shipping. So no cost to you to enter the world of streaming gamer with the industry leading streamer table from Carolina Game Tables.
Free shipping in the lower 48 states.
Oh yeah, you got to be in the 48. You got to be in the 48.
Yeah, lower 48. And we will likely be looking at our white glove delivery service, the folks we've worked for that. So where you've got it, unless you have a problem with someone else going in there, they're going to bring it in and set it up for you too.
It's really the safest way to deliver the table. I know we talked earlier about a lot of the problems that issues that the white glove delivery service had over the past year, but that is still the safest way to deliver your table.
And there is one final thing I want to add on that if there is any streamer out there that's interested in getting a streamer game table, please also just contact us. Even if you don't win, you still wanted to get one, contact us, because we do try to, help folks out with getting those. And if it does end up that your group, your organization is the one picked, then we will refund whatever, you put in for getting that table to begin with. But this way you can still place that order while prices are still good through September, and be assured of getting that, that price if you want to get one a little bit earlier. And we're not gonna, like I said, if you really want one and you're willing to order one, but you also want to enter the contest, you can do both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
well,
with
thank
that,
you,
guys.
Chris. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it was great. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for describing. I mean, there's a lot of questions about just what the industry is like, and there's a lot of changes going on. I think it's great that you guys are being so open and forward and transparent with that. And we appreciate it. Again, a lot of us don't know about it. We had someone in the chat mention that I didn't even consider what the cost of raw lumber was doing for someone like a fine furniture finished company like you guys. And being not only a fan but also a client, we got that streamer table. We did. Christian mentioned, like, did the Smoke Crew get one? Yeah, we picked one up. And so yeah, join us, guys. I mean, these are great tables. They're super functional. Whether you're getting the streamer or even just the coffee table, the 5x5, they're great. I mean, if they can hold me on through a convention and not show wear and tear, I'm pretty impressed. But thank you guys for just describing what's going on in the industry and what giving people a couple extra weeks to get the 2021 prices before they go 2020 prices still before you go to 2120 the future prices. And so yeah, guys, you got a couple weeks left. Put in your orders if you're on the fence, and then do send us the info at CarolinaGameTables.com for your entries to get a free streamer table if you think you guys are a good candidate for that. And other than that, we might do one of these again in the future, but thank you for sending in the questions beforehand and the questions that were live in the chat. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody who supports us by sharing our tables, even if you don't want to buy one yourself, but sharing the information on your social media, just because there's still a ton of people out there who have not heard of us. I know that's amazing, right? They haven't heard of you, but they have not heard of us. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for everybody who have put down their hard-earned money and their faith and trust and put in an order for a game table. Thank you. As we were going through the site move today, we were looking through each order to make sure that it moved over. And I was talking with Sam, and I'm like, there are so many of these people who are friends. Like, I'm just reading out the names and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I know that. Oh, that guy, he always shows me a picture of his table every year at this convention. So now I can't wait to get back to conventions and see you guys all. And thank you again.
Yeah. And if you have a favorite streamer, let them know.
Yeah.
If they don't have a cool table,
let them know. Please let them know about the contest. And thank you all for being here. And I also want to apologize for what looks like bad lightning special effects that I've been under, because my white balance has gone insane for this. It is not, they're not making some 1930s movie and lightning in the background by flashing it up. But again, thanks everybody. Thanks Chris, for doing this. And I think the Landauer may become a new metric for our table. How many Landauers can fit around and on this table?
Yes.
What's the Landauer rating for this?
I mean, someone legit did ask that. Here we go. Yes. Using Mr. Landauer's unit of measurement, how many Landauers can fit around the table comfortably? So, Spoiler King, also now unit of measure.
That's right.
But we appreciate everybody. We'll check you guys out later, but enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.